Welcome to Mi Escuela es Escuela, My School is Your School, the radio and TV program from Montgomery College. Please remember the following numbers. Montgomery College has the Office of Admission Response Center, and that number is 240-567-5000. The Office of Financial Aid is 240-567-5100. And the Workforce Development and Continuing Education that also teaches English as a second language is 240-567-5188. Please call those numbers if you need information, and keep these numbers in a safe and very easy way to find them at your home. They will be very helpful for you to get education and assistance at Montgomery College. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce my guest. His name is Tom Harr. And he is here because he's an alumni from Montgomery College, but also because he has an incredible and compelling stories to tell you and to share with me. He recently got in touch with me, and he told me that he was a huge fan of Montgomery College. So welcome to Mi Escuela es Escuela, My School is Your School, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me your story.
Well, the story about why I'm such a fan, there's a little bit of background. I mean, you have to know a little bit about how I came here. I'm from Western Pennsylvania, from a coal mining area. My dad was orphaned at about 4 years old and out of school in 6th grade, and my mom was out of school in 11th grade to work at a factory during World War II. We came here because they were looking for work. So the background on that is I'm the first person in my family to graduate from high school, not just go to college. When I came to Montgomery College, I had no idea what college was like. I had no idea what to expect. I was absolutely thrilled when I found out I could take classes that I wanted and that there would be breaks between classes to study, which I had never had in high school. But the really reason it's special, and this is something that, you know, when it's happening, you're not always as aware, but as the years went on, I've been to 7 colleges and universities. I have a couple of master's degrees that I did at night. But of all those places, and they're good schools, this was the best for me. I started college essentially on my 17th birthday. I was young, a little bit immature, didn't know exactly what to expect, but when I got here, what I found was people who cared about me, people encouraged me. I would specifically mention a counselor who helped me get a part-time job, yes. An English teacher who taught me how to write, which has been invaluable to me throughout my entire career, a botany professor who tried to talk me into going into the field. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I really loved it. Yeah. But I got encouragement here and understanding and support that I hadn't seen before in my life. And in other schools I've been to, they've been nice, but it's never been quite like this. It was much more what I needed at the moment in time, and a great opportunity for me to actually experience this without having to move away from home and into a strange environment, and that would have been tough for me, to tell you the truth, at 17.
Oh my goodness! So, how old were you when you moved to the county, right, from Pennsylvania?
Moved to the county from Pennsylvania, and I've talked to people about the experience because I think it parallels a lot of the immigration that we have now. People came here then, my parents, for opportunity. In Western PA with coal mining and steel mills, you were mostly unemployed or laid off a lot. The economy was bad, jobs were few and far between. We came here for a better opportunity. Moved into some post-World War II GI housing, little house down at Veersmill Village, which was a real standard then, nicest place I'd ever lived in, quite frankly. And my parents worked, and I went through the schools here, and the opportunities here were just so much beyond other places that they had lived in their life and that I had lived. So it was about 9 years old, 4th grade, Veersmill Elementary. So very pleased. Recently, President Obama had visited there a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's become an international setting.
Yes. Well, so that was quite a contrast for you.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a culture shock. to come here. I think probably is for people coming from, any place that's a significantly different kind of area. I was in a very rural area coming here, but this is, I think, particularly, I've been in the health and human services business for about 25 years now. This is particularly a welcoming community.
With respect of the education, so you got your associate degree with us, with
Yeah,
Montgomery College.
If you're really, I went to Montgomery College, Tacoma Park. This is a while back now because it was Montgomery Junior College then. So walking on campus now
Yes.
is wildly different, and it's so much bigger and so many more people than it was then. But yeah, it was great. Took the bus, and was there for 2 years, and I felt like it made me believe that I could go to college, that people would help me, that I could succeed, and that I believe that laid the groundwork for me to go on and then get my undergraduate degree.
So by the time you graduate with your associate degree, you were very clear as to what your next step was.
As clear as 19-year-olds are about their next step. Yes, I went on to, with the intent of becoming a teacher. I never actually did. I actually became a librarian for a while, and then I got an MBA in finance and moved into healthcare, and I've been working in health and human services, either government or nonprofit since then. But I couldn't have done any of that without, it's a fundamental learning. English, I'm going to go back to English 101. I learned to write. I had not ever really learned to write. And the program here was designed to get people to start putting down their thoughts and organizing them. And it's always been handy to me. So I can still remember my English teacher, as a matter of fact.
That is amazing.
This is 1963 to 65, by the way. We
Yeah.
might as well date me. I mean, the white hair gave me away anyway, right?
Well, to me, it is very important, I think, Tom, for me, that we need to show the different faces of people who have studied at the college, and also how far people get after they finish, their education at the college. I think that is important, that they see many times, well, the college has been there since 1946. And when you mentioned Tacoma, that was the first campus that the college had. And to see how much this has changed, the idea of having a community college in the county was a great idea. It has served a lot of people like you, and a lot of, the cost of education has, really quadruple, quintuple since, you went to Montgomery College in 1963.
Yes, and I won't reveal what it cost because it'll make people feel depressed. They're
going to start crying.
Reasonable.
They're going to start crying.
Very reasonable. Very inexpensive. Even books were a lot cheaper then too,
Yeah. And it is true. Well, they were a lot cheaper when I went to school myself.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible how much education costs. So the message that I think I always tell parents as well as students is that if you have access to education, do it now, because in all probability education is going to get more expensive. In another 10 years it's going to be who knows what. So if you have the opportunity now, why not do it now? And I think you did. And I'm also surprised, and I think it's great news that you said I started at 17 and I graduated at 19, and I'm thinking, okay, so he did it in 2 full years.
Yeah, I did 2 years here.
Yes.
2 years. I stuck with it. Yeah. The graduate degrees took a little bit longer. Those were all at night.
Yes,
But,
I know.
It was hard work. But where I work, and I don't know if we mentioned that yet, but I work at Family Services. It's an organization in Gaithersburg that's been around for 105 years, and it's great to be part of an interesting history. It was the Social Services League originally, but we serve, we see about 20,000 people a year, not all of them intensely, but some of them are families we work with for a period of years. We employ people from 35 different birth origin countries who speak more than 25 languages.
Yeah.
And I know it's the tip of the iceberg in our total population here, and we see new people from places we haven't seen before almost every day here, because again, it is a welcoming community, and it should be. But when I talk to people about what they're doing with their lives, because at this point in life, I'm the older guy, the uncle here.
I know.
I can recommend to them, and I say, really get started. Take something that you care about, get interested in, get a good base, start to learn. Don't don't necessarily take the toughest course first. Start where you can see some success. Once you start to see that success, you can build on it. And that's what's so wonderful about having a place like Montgomery College in the community. Mm-hmm. You can start here, you can start to build success. You've got teachers and counselors and facilities that are wonderful to get you started. And then you just have to apply your own energy then. But the result of that is amazing. The difference in my life versus my parents economically is almost unquantifiable. It would be embarrassing to say how much better I've done than they have. And my daughter does better than I do. So it's a generational thing sometimes. So,
and I think you see it in your organization. And we all see it when we work with different populations. And I think it's breaking the cycle many times is so important, and it has to be one or two people in the family that make a jump. And I think that is going to make a difference. And then you see the difference it's going to happen. It's going to follow after the second or third generation. It's going to make a big difference.
Yes, and people have inherent strengths they don't always know they have.
Yes.
I mean, when I started way back when in Montgomery College, I had no idea that I would be able to write. And when they said I was going to have to do all this writing, I was like
scared.
Yes. How will I ever do it? And you know what? I did it, persevered, and all that. Again, it just pays off. It's the hard work. It's a persevere. You don't always get it right the first time. But it's that lesson to people who are coming here from anywhere else that there's a tremendous opportunity. Montgomery College is only part of it. It's a wonderful part of it, but the community as a whole has a lot of services that can help families, like ours at Family Services. There are other good organizations in the county that also reach out and help people, and they create a welcoming feel, and it's important to take advantage of that.
Definitely, and I've seen the change myself since I came to the United States. I think there is more to offer to the community, to newcomers and the like. And also I think is the one thing that I agree 100% with you, that I think is one, having an institution that is accessible to people, cost-wise. Think about how much money you will save if you attend an institution that is probably 50 to maybe 60% less than what you will be paying in an institution that is either private or a public institution. And also, I see it also accessible in terms of the location, with the proximity to many of the neighborhoods, the 3 campuses and all satellite centers. I think it makes it possible for a lot of people. The flexibility also in terms of the scheduling, the classes at night. This is to accommodate people who work or they have, other commitments that it doesn't make it possible for them to study during the day. So I think to take that in consideration is to see individuals too that said, I always tell, and I always said to people that I talk to, it's never too late to pursue something. And education is one. I get phone calls at the office that said, you're not going to believe this, but I'm embarrassed to tell you or to ask you for this. And I said, don't be. What is it I can do for you? And what question do you have? And they said, I'm, 40 years old, and I think I'm too old. And I said, are you kidding? No, you're not. So it's like, because the assumption is that you can only go to college or learn something if you are in your teens or 20s. And I said, no, that's not true. And a lot of us, the adults many times, they put their families first and, they come last. So if there's something that you want to learn, you can always do it at any time in your life, any point in your life.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I really believe in the whole concept of lifelong learning. There's a lot of ways to do that, whether it's go to college or whether you take classes. There's a lot of options now that are really wonderful. But again, the flexibility, you're right. I mean, and having multiple campuses. I mean, I would like to have not ridden the bus quite as much as I did to get to Tacoma Park.
But you didn't have those options there back then. Think about that.
I think Rockville opened about a year or two after I graduated. I'm trying to remember, but this campus. And well, anyway, when I talk to people, sometimes young people that work with me, and I ask them, how are you doing in school? Well, maybe I'm not taking a class this semester because I'm working. And I say, I did both my master's degrees at night and made a huge difference in my life. You can do it. Might take a while, but
Yeah.
you can hang in there, you can do it. And that's because we have lots of options. I mean, think all around us. I mean,
Yeah.
besides here, this is just a rich community. And, you know, it's not rich if you don't take advantage of it.
It is, I think, is time, continues, and anyone who thinks now I would like to do this, and then they postpone it and postpone it, they realize that 5 or 10 years later, it is 5 or 10 years later,
Yes.
and you're still where you were 10 years or 5 years before.
Right.
So I think taking advantage of what is there is a good thing to do when you can.
Well, the other things that I've noticed that have changed over the years, I mean, in terms of what people do, and I mean, I actually had my in-laws took classes here at this campus, art classes, when they were retired. Is the idea that education not only does provide economic opportunity, but it enriches your life. There's so much more you know about, and so many things that you can learn about that come up. You don't think they're going to come up. They come up all the time. They come up in mass media. They come up on the news. They come up if you want to go on a vacation and you're thinking about where you want to go. The other fascinating thing about the way the campus has changed from when I attended, besides the facilities, the people. I mean, this used to be, I have to tell you, when I was a teen, going to church in Kensington, afterwards, if it was a big day for my parents, we would drive to Wheaton, sit at the hot shop, order curb service, and buy a Mighty Mo, which was a famous, I guess Marriott's first efforts here. And that was, there weren't a lot of other places to go. Now I can do a world culinary tour without leaving.
Yes, yes, it's true. And that is the other part that I think is how much the area have changed, and I asked, you're a resident of the county, and recently I was interviewing someone and said, you have seen, what are the changes you've seen in the county? The guest is someone who teaches at the college, and she's doing an oral history study, and she's interviewing people, and she said, oh, you cannot believe it, back in those days, certain areas here were just a farmland or this and that. And so, of course, for us who came much later after that, there was already, all these buildings and everything was already subdivided, and the subdivisions continue. So it's like, oh yes, it was very different.
Well, it is different. Certainly when I came here, Rockville was, Rockville Pike, which now we find impassable on some Saturdays, was still pretty rural. There were 1 or 2 places to go there. I think the first McDonald's in the county popped up there, but it was just very different. There were not nearly as many things to do. But as I got older, this is a rapid development in this county. As I got through elementary school and on through high school, and already there were lots of changes. And, we've been a rapidly developing area for a while. I mean, the roads widen, houses pop up, and, it's been fun to watch. It is what keeps me here. Because if it wasn't an interesting place, I'd go someplace else.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. How much that change in the county has changed, for example, the organization you work for, in terms of, you have not been affected. I know you're a big organization. I have visited actually your family service several times, and I know about the program.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh yes, yes. And so, with the changes, not only in terms of, I think, the development around you, and I don't know if your organization was already there or you have moved from.
We moved.
Uh-huh.
It was 105 years old, so I don't know if I can do a 3-minute,
definitely.
A 3-minute 100-year history. When it was founded in 1908, it was in Rockville, and actually Dr. Bird, who I believe helped found Montgomery General Hospital, now MedStar Montgomery, and there's a Dr. Bird Drive out in Alley, was one of the founders. And it was to relieve suffering and to study the root causes of suffering, which is the really important part, which will allow us to jump forward 100 years. The first clients for family services were tuberculosis victims. There were no cures back then. It was rural. If you had tuberculosis, you couldn't work your farm. Your family was in big trouble. And so they came in and they helped people by giving them tents that they could live in to separate them from the family, to keep it from spreading.
Yes.
Well, by the 1950s, Family Services became the name because the government had taken over a lot of things that we used to do, adoption, foster care. We developed into a family counseling agency, and then 1990, see, we're going really fast in our 100-year history. 1990, a really interesting thing happened, which was that Early Head Start was created federally, and we're a first wave Early Head Start site. That whole group back in 1908 that said, let's study the underlying causes of suffering in the community, lack of education, lack of getting the right start in life. You know, my story probably includes getting sick when I was in high school because I never got immunized. I had whooping cough. Who gets whooping cough anymore?
Right.
Only people that don't get immunized. When people come to Family Services and participate in Early Head Start or Healthy Families or family programs, we make sure children have a health home. We make sure that they get immunized. We work on parenting skills. We work on child development. So the difference has been in the past probably 15 or 20 years, a lot of emphasis on those early childhood programs. Now, we do a whole big part of our organization helps adults with mental illness. But and it's similar. I mean, it's helping people live in the community and be successful to the extent they can. But these early childhood programs, I thought, addressed the original mission just beautifully. So how has it changed? Well, part of it, we do most of our programs in English and Spanish. Where we are now in Gaithersburg, because we've moved over the years. We're in a couple of fires in our history where we had to move to new offices.
Wow. Yes.
So hopefully we won't be doing that again. But so we're in Gaithersburg, 208-7, but we do things throughout the county. We actually have services all the way to southern Prince George's County now.
Wow.
And we have a program in Baltimore City too, Randallstown actually. So we're you know, we've spread out quite a bit. But again, the difference would be probably the language capability, the culture, the need to become not bicultural but multicultural, really. I mean, the predominant minority group that we deal with are people who do speak Spanish, but we are seeing increasing numbers of people who are West African and speak French. Interesting, go back to my parents, they're all here for the same reason. They came here for a better opportunity. And there is a chance to have that here.
And I think it's if you see the changes that are occurring, say, if we speak about the county or the local area, the region that is, you know, Northern Virginia, the metropolitan DC area. I think nationwide, the changes, I hear many times when, you know, at meetings or events and all that, the people talk about challenges and this and that, and I'm thinking, you know what? Why don't we talk about the opportunity to do something here? Because I think if you help, and I think if you address the issues that these new communities have, you're going to make these individuals participated in the new community they live in, and being productive. If you're going to look at it in with the eyes of, you know, participating financially. Something. Then you say, you know, you're going to give them the education, you're going to give them the care, and you're going to make sure that they're going to be fine, and then they're going to be participating. Fully.
And I believe our county, our country, and our world really, I mean, not to get too global on us, but has a challenge, which is that the disparity between the very rich and the very poor is too big. And I believe, at least in part, the way we can bridge that gap is through education. I mean, that's the way I've seen it work. And so it's really, really important for the people that are coming here to educate themselves as best they can and as quickly as they can, and understand how that can change their lives, and then to give back and help other people in the same circumstance. But if you don't, if we hadn't welcomed people here, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't have had the success. Many of my relatives who stayed where they were continued to live in cycles of poverty and unemployment because it has been a poor area for a century probably. I mean, it's an Appalachian kind of area. Yeah, I don't know. You have to embrace people. It's also just what makes it interesting. Why wouldn't you? That's
Yes.
It's for me. It's like, why would you not do that?
Yes. And I think it's for many of us, and in your case, for example, as you said, I do remember where I was and where I came from. And I think it's that I think is we're capable of, and we have the capacity to do that, I think. That I think is we can turn this place in a better place, our neighborhoods, our communities, and the like, because I think is if we forget, then we don't move forward, I think.
That's right. And I still we have my background's a little bit of a Pennsylvania Dutch culture too, in that area of the world, and so I still value lots of things like deviled eggs, for example, or we call them red eggs if you go and see them at the Amish market and stuff like that. It's not that you don't have that you're not proud of who you are or where you're from. It's that there is a world community that develops here, and you're part of a world community now, and so you embrace those other parts of the world that are here too.
And I think, Tom, it's what we realize is that we have a lot of commonalities,
Oh, absolutely. That's, the interesting part for me about family services is that I'd worked for a number of years for the county government. Great place to work. I love them. They were very good to me. But when I left and went to family services and I started to really get to know the programs, I suddenly felt like something in my life had come full circle. Mm-hmm. And that this particular work gives meaning to my life in a way that no other job could have. And it is because the people that we work with are experiencing the very things that I talked about at the beginning about my parents who, were out of school, working on a farm, working in a factory, World War II, not quite Rosie the Riveter, I think Rosie the tire maker for my mom, but they went through that. And,
yes.
and other cultures are going through that too. But the answer is at the end, you could be very successful if you work at it.
Well, this is wonderful, Tom. This is a great conversation. I tell you, you and I, we can probably talk forever. I think you have plenty to share.
Yes.
And I think it's very important for the community to know and the audience to know that we all have many things in common. There are many things that we can do. That obviously, as the world is changing, our environment is changing, so there are things that we need to do, and why not try to do those things? Something else you would like to add, a message to the community?
Can I give them the phone number for family services if they
You
want to
can
find
do
out
that,
about?
sir.
Please
of course.
call Family Services at 301-840-2000.
Very good.
If you want to ask about our programs, early childhood or otherwise, if we don't have a program, we'll try to find one that fits what you need.
Fantastic. Do you want to provide a website? You have www.
We do, yes, thank you. I'm old, I'm not good with the technology. It's www.fs, like Family Services, Inc., fs-inc.org. So it's .org for being a nonprofit, and we are a nonprofit. So again, www.fs-inc.org. Thank you, Gloria, for
you're very
me
welcome.
about that.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm so glad you wrote back to me and you told me a little bit about you, and I thought, my goodness, I need to bring Tom to the program. So this has been fantastic. I appreciate you accepting the invitation, and you make time in your calendar and come and visit us.
Well, I was glad to do it. I was glad to have an opportunity to talk about Montgomery College after all these years. It's made so much difference in my life.
Believe me, people will be happy to hear. And actually, I got some, and you can take them up. I got a gift from the Montgomery College alumni, so I'm going to send you home with one. How about that? So thank you so very much again, Tom. And let's continue the competition. I'm going to invite you to a follow-up so you can give me an update in the future.
Okay.
Thank
I'll be
you.
glad to do that.
Thank you so very much.
Right.
So audience, it's been a pleasure. This is wonderful to share with you information from and the story of Tom Harr. It's been a tremendous pleasure. I'm at your service. My name is Gloria Bonilla. This is mi escuela, es su escuela. My school is your school. Montgomery College TV radio program. If you have any questions, call 240-567-5000 is the phone number with the response center for Montgomery College. Have a good day or a good evening or a good week. Take care and thank you so very much. Until next.